The lights remained on in a few offices upstairs, but the usual clamor had faded completely. No phones ringing, no shoes clicking on tiles, only the soft hum of air conditioners and the distant sound of water running somewhere. Layla Bennett pushed her cleaning trolley slowly down the corridor, careful not to let the wheels squeak too loudly. She had been on her feet for a long while. Her back ached. Her eyelids felt heavy. Yet she kept her face calm, the way she had trained herself to do ever since life had stopped being gentle with her. Layla was the kind of beautiful that did not beg for attention. Dark, smooth skin, full lips that usually stayed pressed together in quiet endurance. Eyes that looked older than her age, having seen the things they had. Her hair was pulled back neatly in a low bun, not because she loved the style, but because work did not forgive loose strands. She stopped in front of a door that had no number, just a discreet brass plate. Private. The message had come from one of the supervisors. Take fresh towels to Mr. Cross's room. Now, Mr. Cross, everyone at Silvercrest Group knew that name, the way people knew the name of a sickness they were afraid of. He was the CEO. The man who could end your job with one sentence without raising his voice. The man who looked at people as if he were measuring how useless they were. Layla swallowed. She adjusted the folded towels in her arms, then lifted her hand and knocked. No answer. She knocked again, softer this time. Sir. The lock clicked. The door opened slightly, just enough for her to see inside. Warm light spilled into the corridor. Layla stepped in with small, careful steps, as if she did not want to disturb the air. The room was large and expensive, the kind of place where every surface looked like it had been polished with patience. There was a faint scent of clean soap and something sharp like cologne that refused to fade. She heard movement. Then she saw him. Damian Cross stood near the bed, adjusting the cuff of his shirt as if he had all the time in the world. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and the kind of handsome that made people angry because it looked effortless on him. His face was clean-shaven, his jaw sharp, his eyes dark and steady. Even in the quiet, he looked like a man who owned everything around him. He glanced at her, just one glance, but it made Layla's stomach tighten. "What is it?" he asked. His voice was calm, but it was not warm. It was the kind of calm that warned you not to try nonsense. Layla walked to the side table and placed the towels down neatly. "Sir, I'm here to bring you fresh towels." He didn't say thank you. He didn't even look at the towels. His eyes stayed on her like he was trying to remember where he had seen her before. Layla kept her gaze low. "If that's all, sir, I'll be going." She turned toward the door. That was when Damian moved. He didn't rush. He didn't grab her violently, but he stepped in front of her so smoothly that Layla stopped short. Her breath caught. The door was right behind him, and now she couldn't reach it without going through him. "Wait," he said. Layla's fingers tightened around the edge of her apron. "Sir, please let me go." Damian's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why are you shaking?" "I'm not shaking, sir," she lied quickly. He stared at her for a moment, then spoke again, slower. "Are you one of those people who come into rooms like this, hoping to walk out with something?" Layla blinked. Confusion flashed across her face before fear returned. "No, sir." Damian leaned closer, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel his presence like heat. "Then why are you here so late?" "Because I was told to bring towels," she said, her voice softer than she wanted. "That's my job." His gaze dropped briefly to her face, then to her lips, then back to her eyes. Layla's throat went dry. She took a careful step back, but the door was still blocked. Her mind started running fast, like it always did when danger came close. She had seen how men could change when they had power. She had watched people like her get blamed for things they didn't plan. She had no father, no brother, no one that could walk in and defend her. If she made one wrong move now, her whole life could scatter again. "Sir," she said, forcing steadiness into her voice, "I'm begging you. Please let me go." Damien watched her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Something like annoyance, something like curiosity, something like he didn't know what to do with the fear in front of him. Then he exhaled through his nose as if tired. "You want to leave?" he said. "Yes, sir." "Fine." He didn't move. "But tell me something first." Layla's heart thudded. "Sir, what do you want?" he asked. "Name your price." The words landed like a slap. Layla stared at him, shocked. "Sir, I don't understand." Damien's voice stayed flat. "Stop acting like you don't. If you want something, say it." Layla's mouth opened, then closed. For a second, pride tried to rise in her chest. Pride tried to remind her that she was not that kind of girl, that she had struggled too hard to reduce herself to this moment. But pride did not pay hospital bills. Pride would not bury her mother. Pride would not stop the landlord from throwing her out when rent was due. Layla swallowed hard. Her eyes stung, but she refused to let tears fall. "Sir," she said quietly, "I really need money." Damien's expression did not change. "How much?" Layla hesitated. In her head, she saw her mother's face. The last week, the weak breathing, the way her mother's hands had felt so light, like they were already leaving the world, the way Layla had promised with a trembling smile that she would give her a proper burial, that she would not let her be treated like she meant nothing. Her chest tightened. She lifted her eyes fully for the first time and looked at Damien directly. "I need 600,000, she said. Damien's brows lifted slightly, like he wasn't expecting her to be bold. Layla's voice shook, but she did not look away. 600,000. There was silence. Layla felt it immediately. The shame, the fear, the disbelief. A part of her wanted to run out of the room and never come back. Another part of her wanted to fall to the floor and scream until her throat broke. She whispered as if speaking to herself more than him. "I have never done this before, but I don't have a choice." Damien's eyes stayed on her face, searching. Layla forced the words out properly this time, her voice clearer. "Sir, don't worry. I definitely won't cling to you. I'm not trying to trap you. I need the money urgently." Damien's jaw tightened. "What for?" Layla didn't want to answer. Saying it out loud made it too real. But she answered anyway. "My mother is gone," she said. "I need to settle her burial." Something shifted in the room, not softness. Damien didn't suddenly become gentle, but the air changed like the story in her mouth had entered the space and refused to be ignored. Damien looked away briefly, then back. "You have a bank account?" Layla nodded quickly. "Yes. Say the details." Layla hesitated again. Giving her account details to this man felt like stepping into water she couldn't measure, but she said it. He took his phone, tapped once, tapped twice, as if he had done this 1,000 times, and money meant nothing more than a number. "You'll get it," he said. Layla's lips parted. Just like that. Damien's gaze returned to her, cold and sharp again. "Do you want it or not?" "I do," she said quickly. He stepped closer. Layla's breath caught again. But this time, it wasn't only fear. It was something confusing. Something that made her angry with herself. Damien's eyes stayed on her face, and his voice dropped lower. "Look at me," he said. Layla didn't understand why her body obeyed. She lifted her eyes. For a long moment, Damien simply stared at her, at the tiredness in her gaze, at the quiet stubbornness, at the beauty that didn't ask for permission. Then he spoke very softly. "Are you sure?" Layla's throat tightened. She could have said no. She should have said no. She should have walked away and found another way, even if it took months. But she was tired of months. She was tired of begging. She was tired of watching life win every time. Layla nodded once. Damien's hand came up and cupped the side of her face. Firm, but not rough. Layla trembled. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't slow. It was sharp and hungry, like something he had been holding back. Layla froze for one heartbeat. Then, as if the last part of her resistance cracked, she kissed him back urgently, desperately, like she was trying to drown her fear in something else. The room disappeared. Everything became breath and warmth, and the soft rustle of fabric, and the heavy silence of choices being made too fast. Layla didn't remember when they moved away from the door. She didn't remember when the lights felt dimmer. She only remembered the strange ache in her chest, how her heart felt like it was crying even while her body answered him. The room settled into stillness, and Layla lay awake for a while, staring into the dark, feeling the weight of what she had done. She pressed her lips together. She told herself the only thing she could. This is the only way. She woke with a start, confused by the softness beneath her and the expensive scent around her. She sat up and realized she was in Damien Cross's bed. Her body felt heavy. Her mouth felt dry. She pulled the sheet tighter around herself, shame rising like heat. Then she heard his voice. "Drink this!" Layla turned sharply. Damien stood across the room already dressed, looking like he had never slept at all. Crisp shirt, perfect trousers, composed face, same cold eyes. On the table beside him was a glass of water and a small pack of tablets. Layla swallowed. "Sir, take it," he said, as if he were giving an order to a staff meeting. Layla stared at the tablets. "What is it?" "Medicine," Damien answered. No explanation, no comfort. Only that same practical tone. Layla's mind ran fast. Medicine for what? For the previous encounter. So he wouldn't have problems. So she wouldn't. Her cheeks burnt. She reached out slowly, took the tablet pack, and hesitated. Damien's gaze sharpened. "Do you want trouble?" Layla quickly shook her head. "No, sir." "Then take it." She pushed the tablets into her mouth and swallowed with water, trying not to think too much. Damien picked up his phone again. "Your account details." "Say it again. I already told you." "Say it again." He repeated. Layla's fingers tightened on the glass. She repeated her bank name and account number. Voice small. He tapped on his phone. "You'll receive the transfer." Layla's heart squeezed. Part relief, part humiliation, part fear. Damien's eyes lifted to her. "And listen." Layla held still. His voice lowered, sharp with warning. "Don't mistake this for anything else." Layla nodded quickly. "I understand, sir. I don't like noise," Damien added. "I don't like people who cling." Layla forced the words out steady. "I won't cling to you. I really needed the money, that's all." He watched her for a moment like he was deciding whether to believe her. Then he stepped aside from the door. Layla slid out of bed, pulled her uniform back on with shaking hands, and kept her face as blank as she could. She didn't look at him again. She walked out of the room quietly, as if she had never entered. As the door closed behind her, Layla leaned on the wall for one brief second, breathing hard. Her chest hurt, her eyes burned, but she did not cry. Not here. Not in this building. She straightened, wiped her face with the back of her hand, and whispered the words again, because she needed them to hold her together. This is the way. Layla did not go far after she left that room. She walked down the corridor like her legs belonged to someone else. When she reached the corner where the security camera could not see her face clearly, she finally stopped. Her hands were shaking, so she pressed them against her thighs until they steadied. By the time she got outside, the sky was pale, tired-looking, like it also had not slept. Layla sat on a low concrete edge near the staff entrance, brought out her small phone, and stared at it for a long time before she turned it on. A bank alert popped up almost immediately. 600,000. The sender's name sat there without emotion, like it was normal. Damien Cross. Layla's stomach tightened. Relief came first, sharp and quick. Then shame followed it, slow and hot. After that came something she could not name. Something like anger at life for cornering her this way. She closed her eyes and breathed in. This money is not for me, she reminded herself. It is for my mother. That thought was the only thing that helped her stand up and move. Her mother was already gone. Not gone like people said when they were avoiding the truth. Gone the real way. The way that left silence behind. The way that left bills. The way that made people suddenly start calling you sorry, even when they had never helped you while the person was alive. Her mother had been sick for months. One sickness that became another. One hospital visit that became another. Layla had done everything she could, but everything had still not been enough. Layla had finished school. She was a graduate. She had sent out applications until her fingers hurt. She had attended interviews that led nowhere. She had watched less qualified people get jobs because they had connections. And while she waited for her own chance, her mother's health kept getting worse. So, Layla swallowed her pride and took the cleaner job at Silvercrest Group. Not because she loved cleaning floors, because sickness did not wait for job offers, because hospital bills did not respect certificates, because hunger did not care about dignity. She told herself it was temporary, just something she would do until an opening came, until someone finally saw her value. But before any opening came, her mother died, and Layla was left with one last responsibility. She could not run away from a proper burial, a burial plot, a payment she did not have. That was why she had needed 600,000. That same time, Damien Cross sat behind his office desk like nothing had happened. His face was calm, his shirt was perfect, his hair was neat, his eyes were sharp in a way that made people careful. Only his assistant, Marcus Reed, dared to speak freely around him. Marcus was in his early 30s, clean cut, always holding a tablet like it was part of his body. He had worked with Damien long enough to understand his moods without asking questions. He cleared his throat. "Sir," Marcus said, "the young woman from the Ashford family has gathered the 600,000 for the burial plot." Damien did not look up. So Marcus hesitated carefully. "She chose a spot in our family burial grounds, the corner section. It won't disturb anything." Damien finally lifted his eyes. His expression did not change, but something cold passed through them. "That space is available," he said. "Let her buy it." Marcus nodded quickly, relieved. "Thank you, sir." Then Marcus added, "Also, today is the memorial day for your late grandfather. The family has already confirmed they'll be there early." Damien's jaw tightened slightly, as if the reminder pressed on something he didn't like to touch. "I'll be there," he said. Marcus nodded again. "Yes, sir." And that was that. Just business. When Layla arrived at the burial grounds, she was not prepared for what she saw. She had come with her documents and the payment confirmation, her head full of only one thing. "Let me settle this burial." She stepped through the gate and saw black cars lined neatly like soldiers. She saw people dressed in dark clothes. She saw a quiet gathering near an older grave that looked well kept and important. Then she saw Damien Cross. He stood among them like he belonged in every picture. Tall, handsome, unbothered. His expression was controlled, his shoulders straight, like grief could not bend him. Layla's heart dropped. For a second, she wondered if she had come to the wrong place. But she hadn't. This was the Cross family's private burial grounds, and she was here to buy a plot. Her plot with the money that had come from Damien Cross. Layla's fingers tightened around her folder. The truth hit her fully then, painful and clear. The money she had struggled for, the money she had shamed herself to collect, had ended up back in his pocket, not because he demanded it, but because even death had led her back under his power. Layla swallowed. Her throat burned. A staff member approached her politely. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you Miss Kinsley?" Layla nodded once. "Please follow me," the man said gently. "We'll complete the contract." As she followed him, she kept her eyes forward, but she could feel Damien's gaze on her. She could feel it like a hand. When she reached the small table set aside for paperwork, she sighed with steady fingers that did not match how she felt inside. Then the staff member said, "Full name, please." Layla answered quietly, "Layla Renee Ashford." The staff member wrote it down and repeated it in a clear voice as if confirming for the record. Layla Renee Ashford. That was when Damien's head turned sharply. His eyes met hers across the space, and for the first time, he didn't just see the cleaner. He saw a name. Layla's stomach twisted. She looked away immediately. She was not here to be noticed. She was here to bury her mother. The burial itself was simple, but it broke her anyway. There was no crowd of important people, no long speeches, no proud family line standing behind her. Only Layla, a few sympathetic faces, and the quiet weight of the earth waiting to close over the woman who had been her whole world. When the final prayers were said and the last shovel of sand was poured, Layla stood there, as if she could still argue with reality. Then she fell to her knees. The tears came fast, hot, and uncontrollable. Not the neat kind that stayed in the eyes, the kind that shook her shoulders, the kind that made her chest hurt. "Mommy," she whispered, like her mother could still answer. People tried to lift her. Someone touched her back gently. Someone told her to be strong. But Layla could not be strong in that moment. She had been strong for too long. So, she cried until her throat went sore and her eyes swelled. Because grief does not accept timetable. When she finally stood up, her face was wet and her heart felt empty. She wiped her cheeks with the edge of her scarf and told herself, "Now I can start again, even if she didn't know how." She had barely taken a few steps away from the grave when her phone rang. The screen showed an unfamiliar number. Layla almost ignored it, but something in her pushed her to answer. "Hello," she said, her voice. "Good afternoon," a woman said politely. "Is this Miss Kinsley?" "Yes, this is Silvercrest Group HR. We received your application earlier, and we would like to invite you for an interview." Layla stopped walking. For a moment, she thought grief was playing tricks on her ears. "Interview?" she repeated. "Yes," the HR officer confirmed. "When would you be available?" Layla's mouth opened slightly. Her fingers trembled around the phone. She had only taken the cleaner job because she was desperate, because she needed to keep her mother alive, because she was waiting for something better. Now her mother was gone, and this call, this good news was landing right in the middle of her worst day. Layla swallowed hard. I'm available any time, she said. All right, the woman replied. I'll send the details to your email. Please check and confirm. Okay, Layla whispered. Thank you. When the call ended, she stared at her phone for a long time. A small, fragile hope rose in her chest. Once she settled this burial, once she survived this pain, maybe she could finally start over. Maybe. It started raining not long after. At first it was light, like soft tapping on leaves. Then it became heavy, sudden, angry. Layla stood under a small shelter by the roadside. Her shoulders hunched, her folder pressed to her chest to protect the papers. She watched buses splashed through puddles. She waited for one that wouldn't be too full, one that wouldn't force her to stand in the rain. Her eyelashes were still wet, not only from rain. Then she heard a car slow down. Layla turned and saw a dark, expensive vehicle pulling up beside the shelter. The window rolled down. Damien Cross's face appeared calm and unreadable. Get in, he said. Layla blinked, stunned. Sir, he glanced at the rain as if it offended him. In this weather, you want to wait outside? Layla hesitated. Pride told her to refuse. Her body told her she was already cold. I can wait, she said weakly. Damien's eyes hardened. I said, get in. The driver, an older man with a stiff posture, stepped out quickly and opened the back door. Layla stood there torn. Then she moved. She entered the car quietly and sat as far from Damien as possible. The door shut, sealing her into warmth and silence. The car moved. For a while, neither of them spoke. Damien looked ahead. Layla stared out the window, watching rain streak down the glass like thin lines of sorrow. Then Damien reached into the side compartment and brought out a clean handkerchief. He turned to her without asking and wiped her cheek. Layla flinched, not because the cloth hurt, because the gesture felt too intimate, too personal, too much, especially coming from him. His hand paused. He looked at her like she had misbehaved. Stay still, he said, his tone sharp. Layla's heart jumped. Sir, I'm fine. Damien wiped again, slower, like he was annoyed by how stubborn she was. His fingers brushed her skin, and Layla's breath caught. Her body reacted without permission. She shifted away, trying to create distance. In the movement, the edge of the water bottle in the cup holder tipped. Water spilled slightly. Not a lot, just enough to splash. Damien's gaze dropped to it, then lifted back to her face. The air in the car changed instantly. His voice turned colder. You're always acting like you're being attacked. Layla swallowed. I wasn't. Whatever. Damien cut in. He leaned back and looked at her like she was a problem he was trying to solve. Then he said casually, as if he was talking about buying a chair, 1 million 1 month. Layla's body went still. Sir, what? 1 million for 1 month? Damien repeated. You clearly need money. Stop pretending you don't. Layla stared at him again. For a second, the old desperation tried to rise again. The part of her that knew how it felt to be helpless. But another part of her stood up. Quietly, firmly. Layla's eyes narrowed, and her voice came out steady. Mr. Cross, she said, don't think having money makes you superior. Don't think you can trample on people's dignity because you have power. Damien's jaw tightened. Layla continued, her voice shaking only a little. You can't buy control over me. You can't turn human beings into transactions and still think you are right." The driver kept his eyes on the road, pretending he could not hear anything. Layla leaned forward slightly. "Driver, please stop the car." Damien's head turned sharply. "What?" "Stop," Layla repeated louder this time. "I want to get down." The driver slowed, unsure. Damien stared at her as if he couldn't believe she was choosing rain over his car. Layla reached for the door handle. Her fingers were steady. The car stopped. Layla opened the door and stepped out into the rain. The cold hit her immediately, but she didn't care. She shut the door without looking back and walked away, her clothes getting wet again, her shoes splashing through puddles. Inside the car, Damien didn't speak. He only watched her through the glass as she disappeared into the rain. And for the first time in a long time, something close to surprise settled in his eyes. He exhaled slowly and said under his breath, almost annoyed by his own interest, "This girl is really something." Layla walked through the rain like she was walking out of shame. Her clothes clung to her skin. Her hair was damp. Her chest felt tight. But she kept moving step by step until Damien Cross and his expensive car were far behind her. She did not know why she was shaking. Anger, humiliation, grief, or all of it together. All she knew was that she had finally said what she had been holding inside. Money doesn't make you human. She barely slept. Her body was tired, but her mind refused to rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Cold, handsome, unmoved. And then she saw her mother's grave again. Her eyes were swollen, but the world didn't care. Life still demanded she stand up. The following time, Layla dressed like she was going to fight for her future. Not with noise, not with pride, but with effort. She wore a simple, fitted outfit that made her look neat and professional. Her hair was tied up into a high ponytail, smooth and clean, the kind of style that said she was serious. She applied light makeup, nothing loud, just enough to make her look fresh and awake. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she didn't see a poor cleaner. She saw a graduate who had been forced to bend, but not broken. Today, she whispered to herself, "I'll start again." Silvercrest Group looked different when you entered through the front. The first time Layla came here, she came as a cleaner through the staff entrance, head down, uniform on. But now, she walked into the main lobby. The air smelled like perfume and expensive furniture polish. The floors shone. People moved like they had places to be and futures that were already arranged. Layla kept her shoulders straight and followed the direction HR had sent. When she got to the office, the HR officer smiled warmly. "Congratulations, Miss Bennett," the woman said. "You are selected. You'll start immediately." Layla almost didn't believe it. Her breath caught. "Thank you," she said quickly. "Thank you so much." The woman nodded. "Work hard, and you'll do well here." Layla nodded too, her eyes stinging slightly. "I will. I promise." She meant it with everything in her chest. A few hours later, she was led to a training room with other new employees. Layla sat quietly listening, taking notes. She didn't want anyone to say she did not deserve her seat. As she was arranging her notebook, she heard a voice behind her. "Layla?" She turned. A man stood there, smiling like he couldn't believe his eyes. He was tall, well-dressed, and confident in a way that came from comfort. His face was familiar. Clean features, bright eyes, the kind of smile that made people relax. "Jasper Callahan," he said, laughing softly. "You don't remember me?" Layla blinked. Then it hit her. Jasper. she said slowly. Jasper from school. Yes, he said, genuinely excited. Ah, so it's you. I'm shocked. Layla managed a small smile. It's been a long time. Jasper pulled a chair beside her without asking. You got in? That's good. Welcome. If you want, I can show you around later so you don't get lost. Layla hesitated, but his friendliness felt safe. Thank you, she said. I'll appreciate that. Jasper leaned closer, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. Just know one thing, he said. The CEO rarely attends training. He's always moving around, but new employees must attend. No excuse. Layla nodded. Okay. Then someone behind them spoke, whispering to another person, and the name entered the air casually like it was ordinary. Boss Cross. Layla's pen paused. Her heart paused, too. She slowly turned to Jasper. Did you say Cross? Jasper nodded. Yes, Damian Cross. That's the CEO. For a second, Layla felt like the room tilted. The sounds around her became distant, like someone had covered her ears with cotton. Damian Cross? Her mind dragged her back. Private room, blocked door, the money, the medicine, the rain, the offer. Her mouth went dry. She swallowed hard and whispered to herself so quietly nobody could hear. I slept with the CEO, and I even slapped him. A cold fear moved through her chest like water. God, will he destroy me? The training session hadn't even finished before the office started smelling blood. People noticed her too much. They looked at her the way people looked at a rumor before it became a headline. In the hallway outside, as Layla waited for her department assignment, she heard two women talking loud enough for her to hear. That's her, one said. That cleaner girl. I heard she used to be a cleaner here, another replied with disgust. And now she's suddenly an employee. How? Please, we know how, the first one hissed. Some people know how to climb faster than an elevator. Layla's cheeks burned, but she kept walking. Then it got worse. A woman stepped forward and blocked her path. She was slim, sharp-faced, wearing a fitted corporate dress like she was born inside an office. Her lipstick was bold, and her eyes were the kind that enjoyed humiliation. Layla later learned her name, Vanessa Voss. Behind Vanessa were two other women who looked eager, like they had been waiting for drama. Vanessa looked Layla up and down slowly. So it's true, she said. They really brought you inside. Layla tried to stay calm. Excuse me, please. I have to. Vanessa laughed. You have to what? You're a cleaner. The cleaning room is where you belong. Layla's fingers tightened around her file. I'm an employee now, Vanessa scoffed. Employee K. Do you even have the qualification to be here? Or you think sleeping your way into places is work? The other women giggled. Layla's throat tightened. Her chest rose and fell once slowly. I'm qualified, she said, her voice steady. And you don't know anything about me. Vanessa stepped closer. We know enough. Poor girls like you always come with plan. You came to seduce the CEO, Layla. Layla's heart thudded hard. She wanted to deny it loudly, to defend herself, to scream that she wasn't proud of anything that happened, but something inside her refused to beg. So she said, calm and firm, please move. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Or what? A shadow fell across the group. A silence dropped suddenly, like someone switched off the air. Layla turned. Damian Cross had walked into the hallway. He was in a dark suit, looking sharp and untouched by ordinary stress. His face was calm, but his eyes were dangerous. People moved aside instinctively. Even Vanessa's confidence shifted. Boss Cross. Vanessa started quickly changing her tone to sweet. Good morning, sir. I was just telling her. Damien didn't even look at her properly. He looked at Layla first, just once. Then he faced Vanessa and the others. His voice was low, cold, simple. If you're done, he said, get out. The hallway froze. Vanessa blinked. Sir? Damien's eyes hardened. Did you not hear me? No one breathed. Vanessa's lips parted, but no words came out. The other women stepped back quickly, suddenly remembering they had work. Layla stood still, confused, almost dizzy. Damien Cross, this same man, had just defended her. Not kindly, not gently, but clearly. Vanessa forced a stiff smile. Yes, sir. We're leaving. They scattered. Layla remained where she was, her heart beating too fast. Damien's gaze flicked her again, quick and unreadable. Then he walked away like nothing happened. Layla stared after him. Why is he protecting me? Later that day, Layla was settling into her assigned desk when a man approached her. He looked official. Clean haircut, neatly tucked shirt, ID card hanging from his neck. New staff? He asked. Yes, Layla replied politely. He nodded. I'm Marcus Reed, the CEO's executive assistant. Layla's stomach tightened immediately. Marcus continued like he was announcing a rule. First day requirement, you must add the CEO on WhatsApp. Layla blinked. Sorry. Marcus smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It's a rule. All staff in this department must add him. Layla opened her handbook slowly, flipping through the pages as if she was searching for something she already knew wasn't there. After a moment, she looked up. It's not in the handbook, she said calmly. There's no such rule here. Marcus's smile tightened. Are you challenging me? Layla met his eyes. I'm only saying what is written. Before Marcus could respond, a voice came from behind. Carry on. Layla turned. Damien was standing there, hands in his pockets, face unreadable. Marcus stiffened. Boss, I was just Damien's gaze cut through him. If it's not in the handbook, don't invent it. Marcus swallowed. Yes, sir. Damien looked at Layla. Do your work. Then he walked away again. Layla sat slowly, her heart pounding. It wasn't just protection. It was like he was warning people not to touch her, and she didn't know if that was good or terrifying. Midday, Layla stood up from her desk to handle a quick errand HR had assigned, collecting her pre-employment medical report from the hospital. Her body had been feeling strange. A mild dizziness, a heaviness in her chest, a discomfort that came and went. She tried to ignore it, but one thing kept whispering at the back of her mind. My period is 15 days late. She did not say it out loud. She didn't even want to hear her own thoughts. At the entrance downstairs, she ran into Jasper. You're leaving? He asked. Yes, Layla said. Just to pick something. I can go with you, Jasper offered quickly. Let me accompany you. Layla's stomach tightened. No, she said a bit too fast, then softened her tone. Thank you, but I can manage. It's private. Jasper paused, then nodded gently. Okay, no problem. As Layla turned to leave, she felt a presence again. Vanessa running to hospital, Vanessa said, leaning close with false concern. Hope you're not hiding something. Layla's jaw tightened. Move. Vanessa smiled slow and mean. You're hiding something, I can tell. Layla didn't answer. She walked away, but Vanessa's eyes followed her like a promise. At the hospital, Layla sat in a quiet waiting area, holding her file tightly. A nurse called her name. She entered the doctor's office with careful steps. The doctor was a young man in a white coat, calm-faced with kind eyes and a professional tone. He looked like someone who had seen too much pain to be careless with people. "Good afternoon," he said. "I'm Dr. Nathan Hale." Layla nodded politely. "Good afternoon, doctor." He opened the report, scanned it for a moment, then looked up. "Miss Bennett," he said gently, "you are pregnant." For a second, Layla didn't understand the words. Then her body reacted before her mind did. She gripped the chair. "No," she whispered. "That can't be." Dr. Nathan stayed calm. "The report is correct." Layla shook her head quickly. "I took birth control. I took it, I'm sure." The doctor watched her carefully. "Do you still have the pack?" Layla froze. Her mind flashed to that encounter. Damien giving her tablets and water. Her swallowing without checking. Her fear. Her voice cracked. "I don't have it." Dr. Nathan's eyes narrowed slightly and thought. "Do you know what you took?" "I was told it was medicine," Layla said weakly. "Doctor." Nathan leaned forward, voice careful. "Miss Layla, from what I'm seeing here, it's possible you didn't take birth control." Layla's throat tightened. "What do you mean?" He exhaled softly. "Some pills look similar. Some people mistake them." Layla stared at him. Then the truth landed slowly in her mind like a stone. "Doctor," she whispered, almost shaking. "Are you saying the pills were not birth control?" Dr. Nathan nodded. "They were vitamins." Layla's face twisted. Her breath broke. Vitamins. Her eyes filled instantly. She didn't even realize she was crying until the tears dropped onto her lap. "Oh, God," she whispered. Dr. Nathan watched her quietly, giving her space. Layla wiped her face roughly and looked up with red eyes. "I want to abort it," she said immediately, voice sharp with panic. "Doctor, I want to remove it." "Doctor." Nathan's expression remained professional, but his voice turned serious. "I need you to understand something," he said. "Abortion has risks. Even with modern medicine, complications can happen. In an emergency, you could become infertile for life." Layla's lips trembled. The room felt too small. Her mother was gone. Her job was new. Her life was already messy. A baby now felt like a heavy stone on her chest. "No," she said, breathing hard. I can't do this. I want the abortion." Dr. Nathan nodded slowly. "If you're sure, we can schedule it." Layla wiped her face again. "When is the earliest?" he said. Layla swallowed. "Okay." "Doctor." Nathan printed a payment slip and handed it to her. "You'll need to pay first," he said gently. "And come early so you won't queue." Layla took the slip with shaking fingers. "Thank you," she whispered, not because she was grateful, but because her mouth needed to say something. She stood up slowly, holding her file to her chest like a shield. As she walked out of the hospital, her tears dried in the air, but the fear did not. All she could think of was one name, Damien Cross. It felt like he was everywhere in her life now, like a shadow she couldn't outrun. She held her file tight against her chest and forced her legs to keep moving. She told herself she would not cry again. Not here, not today. She had already cried enough for one lifetime. As she got close to the hospital entrance, she heard a small commotion. An elderly woman was struggling near the steps, coughing hard into a handkerchief. Her breathing was rough, as if something inside her chest was fighting. The woman's caregiver was flustered, looking around helplessly, calling for help. Layla paused. She should have kept walking. Her own life was already breaking in her hands. But the woman's knees buckled slightly, and something in Layla's heart refused to ignore it. Layla rushed forward. "Ma, please," she said softly, steadying her. "Take it easy. Breathe slowly." The woman's skin looked pale under her expensive scarf. Her hands were cold. Her eyes were sharp, though, even through the weakness, eyes that still carried authority. "I'm fine," the woman tried to insist, but another cough cut her short. It was the kind of cough that frightened people. Layla turned to the caregiver. "Please, let's take her back inside. She shouldn't be standing like this." And together, they guided the woman into the hospital. Layla held her gently, slow, and careful, like she was handling something fragile. The woman kept coughing, and at one point she gripped Layla's wrist and whispered, "You're kind." Layla swallowed. "I'm only doing what I would want someone to do for my mother." The woman's eyes softened for a brief moment at that. They reached the nearest nurse's station. Layla explained quickly, and the nurses moved fast, offering a chair and calling a doctor. Layla was about to step back and leave when a familiar voice said, "What happened here?" Layla turned. Dr. Nathan Hale walked toward them, his white coat clean, his face calm but alert. He looked at the elderly woman, and his expression changed like he already knew her. "Grandma Eleanor," he said respectfully, "you shouldn't be stressing yourself like this." Layla's heart skipped at the word grandma, but she didn't understand why yet. The woman waved him off weakly. I said, "I'm fine." Dr. Nathan checked her breathing, asked a few questions, then turned to the caregiver and spoke clearly. "The dosage has changed," he said. "No more of the previous schedule. She will take it after meals now. 3 times daily. I'll write it down properly." He pulled out a small notepad and wrote calmly, while the caregiver nodded and repeated the instructions back. Layla stood there quietly watching. Grandma Eleanor's eyes moved to Layla again. She looked Layla up and down, not with mockery, but with curiosity, like she was reading her. "You didn't have to stop for me," the old woman said. Layla forced a small smile. "I couldn't just watch you struggle." Grandma Eleanor held Layla's hand briefly. "Your words, the way you spoke to me, it's rare." Layla's throat tightened. She didn't know why, but kindness from strangers always hit her harder when she was already drowning. "It's okay, Ma," she said. "Please, take care of yourself." Grandma Eleanor nodded slowly, then suddenly coughed again, this time harder. Her body shook with it. For a second, she leaned forward, and Layla instinctively moved closer. In that hurried movement, the old woman's elbow bumped Layla's shoulder. It wasn't a big hit. It wasn't violence, but Layla had barely eaten. She was emotionally exhausted. Her body was already unsettled from everything she had heard inside the doctor's office. The small bump threw her balance, and dizziness rushed to her head like a wave. Layla's knees softened. Her file slipped slightly. "Layla!" the caregiver shouted. Layla grabbed the edge of the chair and sat quickly before she fell fully. Her head spun. She blinked hard. Grandma Eleanor's eyes widened dramatically. I've killed somebody's child," Layla tried to speak. "Ma, it's not." But Grandma Eleanor raised her voice like someone announcing tragedy to the whole hospital. "This is an accident!" I knocked her down. "I must take responsibility." Layla stared at her, shocked. Dr. Nathan stepped closer, checked Layla's pulse, then looked into her face. "You're stressed. Sit. Breathe." Layla breathed in slowly, trying not to faint from embarrassment. Grandma Eleanor leaned in, studying Layla's face. "You see, she's weak. She almost collapsed. This is my fault." "It's not your fault," Layla whispered, still dizzy. "I'm just tired." Grandma Eleanor didn't listen. Instead, she straightened like her strength returned the moment she found a mission. "You're coming with me," she said. Layla blinked. "Ma, you helped me. You spoke kindly to me. Now I've injured you no matter how small. I said I will take responsibility." Layla tried to stand. "Thank you, but I'm fine. I need to go home." Grandma Eleanor held her wrist firm. "No, you're coming with me." Layla looked at Dr. Nathan helplessly. Dr. Nathan sighed like he had seen this kind of stubbornness before. "She won't let it go," he told Layla quietly. "Just be careful." Grandma Eleanor turned to her caregiver. "Call the driver and call Auntie Clara. Tell her to prepare the house and bringing someone home." Layla opened her mouth to refuse again, but the old woman had already turned it into a decision that sounded final. And Layla, still dizzy, still shaken, still struggling to hold her life together, didn't have the strength to fight an elderly woman who behaved like a queen. So she followed. The car was quiet at first. Grandma Eleanor sat upright, wrapped in elegance and authority, coughing softly now and then. The caregiver sat beside her, watching her like a hawk. Layla sat in the back, her file pressed to her chest, feeling like she had entered a movie she didn't audition for. On the road, Grandma Eleanor picked up her phone. "Auntie Clara," she said, voice strong. "Yes, I'm coming back with the girl." Layla's eyes narrowed. "The girl, and call Barrister Obasi. Tell him I want those documents ready." Layla's stomach tightened. Documents. She shifted in her seat, suddenly uncomfortable. When they arrived, the house was the kind that didn't need to shout, to show wealth. It was silent, controlled, and intimidating. Layla stepped out carefully, feeling her heart beat too fast. Before she could ask questions, Grandma Eleanor was already leading. Inside, staff moved quickly, greeting her, taking her scarf, bringing water, acting like they had been expecting her. Then Layla heard a male voice, deep, calm, irritated. "What is going on here?" Layla turned, and her heart stopped in the same place it stopped the day she learned his name. Damien stood in the living room, handsome in a way that looked unfair. Tall, clean, controlled. His face was cold, but his eyes were sharp and alive, like he missed nothing. He looked at Layla. Layla looked back. For a second, the air between them felt heavy with everything they refused to say. Then Damien's eyes shifted to his grandmother. "Grandma," he said. "Why is she here?" Grandma Eleanor smiled, like she had brought him a gift. "My grandson, this is the young lady I told you about." Damien's jaw tightened slightly. "What young lady?" Grandma Eleanor waved her hand. "The one I knocked down at the hospital." Layla blinked, confused again. Grandma continued dramatically. "I bumped her, and she almost collapsed. For a moment, she looked unconscious. People were shouting. It was terrible. Layla wanted to correct it, but her voice got stuck. Grandma Eleanor turned to Damien with bright eyes. "So, I must take responsibility." Damien stared. "Responsibility for a small bump?" Grandma Eleanor's smile widened. "Yes," Damien exhaled. "Grandma, please." "No," Grandma Eleanor cut in. "Sit down." Damien didn't sit. Grandma Eleanor's voice became louder. "I asked questions. I found out she's single." Layla's stomach dropped. Grandma Eleanor pointed at Damien. "And you are single too, so I've decided to compensate her with you." Layla froze. Damien's face hardened like stone. "What?" Grandma Eleanor said it clearly, like she was discussing lunch. "She will marry you." Layla's mouth opened slightly. No words came out. Damien stepped forward. "Grandma, are you joking?" Grandma Eleanor looked offended. "Do I joke with matters of responsibility?" "I am not marrying anyone," Damien said sharply. Grandma Eleanor's eyes didn't blink. "You already have." Silence crashed into the room. Damien's voice dropped dangerously. "What did you just say?" Grandma Eleanor snapped her fingers. Auntie Clara appeared, and behind her was a man in a suit, holding a brown file. "Barrister Obasi!" Grandma Eleanor announced proudly. "The contract has already been signed." Damien stared at the file as if it were poison. Layla's throat went dry. Grandma Eleanor smiled at Layla. "On the way here, I sent people to prepare everything. You see, a responsible family doesn't waste time." Damien turned to Layla sharply. His eyes narrowed. And in that look, Layla saw it. Suspicion, anger, control. He looked at her like she had entered his life with a plan, like she and his grandmother had been working together. Later, Grandma Eleanor clapped her hands and softened her tone suddenly, as if she had not just thrown a bomb into the room. "My grandson," she said, "don't be wicked. At least apologize properly. Go and bring her a smoothie." Damien stared. "A smoothie?" "Yes," Grandma Eleanor said sweetly. "Go and give it to her. Make amends." Damien's lips pressed into a thin line. But under his grandmother's gaze, he turned and walked away. Layla stood awkwardly in the living room, not knowing where to put herself. Auntie Clara offered her a seat and kept smiling like this was normal. It wasn't. When Damien returned, he handed Layla the smoothie without warmth. "Take," he said. Layla hesitated. Her mind flashed to pills and mistakes, and the way her life kept slipping because she trusted too quickly. She stared at the drink. Something in her spirit warned her. Damien watched her face. Then his eyes narrowed further, as if her hesitation confirmed his thoughts. He leaned closer, voice low. "So you're acting now?" Layla looked up. "Acting?" he scoffed. "You and my grandmother. You planned this. You wanted a secure life. Is that it?" Layla's heart squeezed. "I didn't plan anything." Damien's voice sharpened. "Then explain why you're here." Layla swallowed hard. "I helped your grandmother at the hospital. She insisted I followed her. That's all." Damien's eyes were cold. "Liar." Layla's chest rose and fell. "I'm not lying." Damien stepped closer, his anger controlled, but heavy. "You think I don't understand women like you?" Layla's eyes stung immediately. Women like her. Poor women. Women whose lives were already bruised before they even met a man like him. Layla shook her head slowly. "You don't know me." Damien's jaw flexed. "You're here to secure a home. To trap me." "I'm not trying to trap you," Layla said, voice trembling but firm. "I didn't even know she was your grandmother until now." Damien laughed once, bitter. "Of course." Layla's fingers tightened. "And for your information, I don't even want anything from you." Damien's eyes flashed. "Then why are you refusing the smoothie?" Layla looked at it again. "Because I don't trust anything that comes with sudden kindness." For a moment, Damien stared at her as if she had slapped him again. Then he turned to the door and pulled the handle. It didn't open. He pulled again. Still nothing. His eyes narrowed. He knocked hard. "Grandma!" he called. No answer. Layla stepped back slowly. "What is happening?" Damien tried the door again, then looked at the lock. The truth landed like a stone. His grandmother had locked them in from outside. Damien turned sharply to Layla. His voice was low and furious. "Do you see now?" Layla's eyes widened. "I swear I didn't." Damien cut her off. "Enough." He paced once, then stopped in front of her like a judge. "Now you must marry me," he snapped. Layla blinked, shocked. "What?" "You heard me?" Damien said. "My grandmother has already set this up. Whether you planned it or not, she has decided, and she doesn't lose." Layla's mouth trembled. "This is not my life. I'm not doing this." Damien's eyes stayed hard. "You will." Layla shook her head, tears rising. "You can't just decide for me." Damien leaned closer, voice cold. "You should have thought about that before you entered my family's space." Layla's tears fell suddenly, not because she believed him, but because she felt trapped, and she was tired of being trapped. The door opened. Staff moved around like nothing happened. Grandma Eleanor entered with a bright smile, holding her medicine. "Good morning, my children," she said, as if she had not locked two adults in a room overnight. Damien's face was thunder. Layla's eyes were swollen. Grandma Eleanor clapped her hands. "Today you're going to the registry. Bring your ID cards. Bring everything." Layla swallowed. "Grandma, please." Grandma Eleanor looked at her. "What is it?" Layla's voice shook. I'm pregnant." The room went silent. Damien's eyes snapped to Layla so fast it felt like a whip. Layla forced herself to continue, because if she didn't speak now, she might never speak again. "I didn't plan it," she said quickly. "I didn't even want to keep it. I went to the hospital to schedule an abortion." Grandma Eleanor's face changed. Shock first, then hunger. "Here," she whispered, almost like she was praying. "Pregnant?" Layla nodded weakly. "Yes." Grandma Eleanor stepped forward slowly, eyes shining. "Do you know what this means?" Layla couldn't answer. Grandma Eleanor turned to Damien. "Damien!" Damien's expression was tight, confused, suspicious, angry, all at once. Grandma Eleanor raised her voice. "Our family has had 18 generations of single heirs. I have been begging God to let me hold a great-grandchild, and now heaven is finally answered." Layla's lips trembled. "But Grandma, Grandma Eleanor lifted her hand. "Don't say you will remove it again." Then she did something that made Layla's heart sink. She lifted her medicine bottle and said, voice trembling dramatically, "If you refuse, I will stop taking my medicine. Let me just go and meet my husband." Layla's eyes widened. "Grandma, please." "I'm serious," Grandma Eleanor said, coughing lightly for effect. "Let me die. I'm tired." Layla looked at Damien, hoping he would say something, but Damien's face was locked. Grandma Eleanor pushed harder. "You will marry my grandson and give birth to this child. If you don't, I will not drink this medicine again." Layla's chest rose sharply. She thought of her mother. Her mother had died with no one listening to her pain. And now this old woman was holding her own life like a weapon. Layla's voice broke. "Fine." Grandma Eleanor's eyes brightened instantly. "Good girl." Layla wiped her tears quickly, ashamed of them. After Grandma left, Damien pulled Layla aside. His voice was low, controlled, but cruel in the way only powerful people could afford. "Let's be clear," he said. "We both know that pregnancy is not mine." Layla froze. Damien continued, eyes hard. "I saw you take contraception that night. You didn't even hesitate. So, don't bring a child from another man and throw it at my feet." Layla stared at him, shocked. So this was what he believed. So he truly didn't know. And in that moment, Layla's mind flashed again to Dr. Nathan's words. Those weren't birth control pills. They were vitamins. Layla's stomach turned. She had been thinking Damien did it on purpose. But looking at his face now, his certainty, his anger, his disgust, she suddenly understood something painful. It might have been an honest mistake, and if it was, then the child in her womb. Layla's throat closed. She forced herself not to say it. Not now. Not like this. Damien took a breath, still controlling the situation like it was a business deal. "This is what will happen," he said. 2-year contractual marriage. Layla blinked. "Contract?" "Yes," Damien said coldly. "To outsiders, we are married. We will act like it. We will wear the name. We will appear when needed." "And inside?" Layla asked quietly. "Inside, it's a secret," Damien replied. "Timed. No intimacy, no foolish emotions. You will not touch my life beyond what my grandmother demands." Layla's lips trembled. "Why are you doing this?" Damien's eyes stayed hard. "Because my grandmother believes the child is mine, and she will destroy everything if I fight her." Layla swallowed, and after 2 years, Damien said it like a final decision. "After 2 years, I pay you $20 million, and you leave." Layla's hands shook. "If it's a contract, or why must I keep the pregnancy?" Damien's voice dropped. "Because Grandma loves children. That's the only reason you're here." Layla looked away, fear sitting in her chest like a stone. "If he ever finds out this baby is his, he will think I planned everything." So she swallowed the truth and nodded. That same time, Damien told her, "You're moving in immediately." Layla's heart jumped. "Move in. I'll send people to help you pack," he said. Then he brought out a card and placed it in her palm. "No pin," he said. "Spend freely." Layla stared at it. "I don't want it." Damien's eyes narrowed. "Don't start acting proud. It's not pride," Layla said quietly. "I have my own money." Damien's voice was flat. "It's not romance. I'm avoiding my grandmother's suspicion. If you refuse, she will say I'm mistreating you." Layla's fingers tightened around the card like it burned. Before she fully moved in, Layla went back to her apartment to end her lease properly and collect her balance. She climbed the stairs with her bag and her documents, trying to stay calm. The landlord, Mr. Harlan, was already waiting like he had been preparing for a fight. "You're late," he said rudely. "I've been waiting," Layla forced politeness. "Sir, I came as fast as I could. My lease is ending and I want my deposit back." Mr. Harlan snatched the papers and glanced at them like they were rubbish. "A deposit?" he said. Layla blinked. "My deposit? It's in the agreement, mister." Harlan smirked. "I didn't see anything. No refund." Layla's heart clenched. "Sir, please, I need it." Mr. Harlan's eyes moved slowly over her body. Then he smiled in a way that made Layla feel dirty. "You're a fine girl," he said. "Serve me well, and I'll return it. I'll even give you more." Layla stepped back sharply. "Don't talk to me like that." Mr. Harlan moved closer. "Stop pretending. You know how women like you do things." Layla's breath caught. She raised her hands defensively. "Get away from me!" Mr. Harlan grabbed her wrist. Layla fought back instinctively, pushing, twisting, trying to free herself. Then a cold voice filled the corridor. "Remove your hand, Mr. Harlan." Mr. Harlan froze. Layla turned. Damien Cross stood there, quiet, dangerous, and perfectly calm. Mr. Harlan laughed nervously. "Ah, sir, I was just—" Damien stepped forward slowly. I said, "Remove your hand." Mr. Harlan released Layla immediately. Layla's chest heaved as she held her wrist, shaking. Damien looked at Mr. Harlan with eyes that didn't carry mercy. "Touch her again," Damien said, "and you'll beg the police to believe you." "Mister." Harlan's face changed. "Sir, please." Damien turned slightly and spoke to someone behind him. Two men stepped forward. "Take him to the station," Damien ordered. "Mister," Harlan panicked. "No, I'm sorry. I made a mistake." Layla's voice shook, but she still said it. "My deposit. He hasn't returned it." Damien looked at her. For a second, Layla thought he would help her demand it, but Damien's face stayed firm. "You can go home now," he said. Layla blinked, but Damien cut her off sharply. "Do I have to say it again?" Layla swallowed the rest of her words. Damien stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Next time you're bullied," he said, "remember to call me." Layla stared at him, confused by the protection that came with control. Then Damien added, cold and final, "You're Mrs. Cross now, outside. Don't disgrace the family." Layla's throat tightened, not because she wanted his name, but because she could feel what that name would cost her, and she wasn't sure she had anything left to pay with. Layla did not speak again until Damien's car brought her back to the mansion. Her wrist still hurt where the landlord had held her. Not the kind of pain that left bruises, but the kind that stayed inside your skin and refused to go away. Damien walked in first, like he was escorting a problem he did not ask for. Layla followed behind him, quiet and careful, trying to make her face blank so nobody would read her shame. But the moment Grandma Eleanor saw her, the old woman's eyes lit up like someone welcoming a long-awaited answer to prayer. "My daughter-in-law!" Grandma exclaimed, waving her hand as if the whole house should clap. Layla froze at that word. Then the gifts started coming. Boxes, bags, jewelry cases, expensive fabric folded like something sacred, a watch that looked like it belonged on a billboard, a handbag that smelled like new money. Layla stood there, confused, as Grandma Eleanor smiled proudly. "These are small things," Grandma said, like she was talking about sachet water. "My grandson is stubborn, but I am not poor. If you are entering this family, you will not enter empty." Layla tried to refuse. "Grandma, it's too much. I can't." Grandma waved her off. "You can. You will." And before Layla could even breathe properly, two women from the house had already carried her suitcase, her small, tired suitcase, into the corridor. Layla followed them with her eyes. "Where are you taking my things?" Grandma Eleanor pointed casually to Damien's room. Layla's heart jumped. "Grandma, please." Damien's face tightened. "Grandma, that's enough." Grandma looked at him like he was a child who didn't understand sense. "It is not enough. She is your wife." Layla's throat went dry. She turned slowly to Damien. "Sir, I can sleep in the guest room." Damien stared at her for a second, then looked away like he hated that he had to answer. "If you sleep in the guest room," he said, "Grandma will scold me until morning." Layla swallowed. "I'm pregnant. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want trouble." Damien's eyes flicked to her belly, then back to her face. His voice dropped. "I'm not an animal," he said. "You'll sleep. I'll sleep. We'll act like two adults who have sense. Just don't make Grandma suspicious." It was not comfort. It was a warning disguised as agreement. Still, Layla nodded because she didn't have the strength to fight another battle. She lay on the far edge of the bed, stiff like someone sleeping on a stranger's pride. Damien lay on the other side, silent. But the room itself felt crowded by Grandma's expectations, by Layla's fear, by the secret that sat heavy in her chest like a stone. Damien drove her to work, not the way a kind man would, not the way a husband would, more like a man escorting a fragile lie. "Stop here," Layla said when they got close. Damien glanced at her. "Why?" "People will see," she whispered. "They can see," he replied, calm and careless. "I'm not hiding a crime." Layla wanted to tell him, "This isn't your shame, it's mine," but she held it back. He dropped her near the entrance and drove off as if nothing happened. Layla turned, and that was when she felt the eyes. People were already watching. Whispers moved faster than footsteps. And then Vanessa Voss appeared. Vanessa always moved like she had permission to hurt people. She stepped into Layla's space, her eyes sharp and hungry. "What is that?" Vanessa asked, pointing. Layla looked down. It was the watch Grandma Eleanor had forced on her wrist. Heavy, shining, impossible to hide. "It's mine," Layla said quietly. Vanessa laughed once, sharp and fake. "Your own." Before Layla could react, Vanessa grabbed Layla's wrist and snatched the watch off like she was collecting evidence. Layla's heart jumped. "Give it back." Vanessa raised it. "A limited edition watch," she said loudly, making sure the people around could hear. "Everybody knows the CEO wears one like this. So tell me, Layla, when did you start stealing?" Layla's face went hot. "I didn't steal anything." Vanessa leaned closer. "Then come, let's go and disgrace you properly." She grabbed Layla's arm and dragged her through the office like a trophy. Layla stumbled, but forced herself not to beg. Not again. She had begged enough people in this life. They reached Damien's office. Vanessa marched in without knocking. "Sir," she announced, "we have a thief in the office." Damien looked up slowly, his face unreadable. Vanessa lifted the watch. "This is your limited edition watch. I caught her hiding it." Layla's mouth trembled, but she spoke. "Sir, it's mine." Damien stared at Vanessa for a long moment. Then he asked, calm and deadly, "When did I say I lost my watch?" Vanessa froze. The air shifted. Damien's eyes did not move from Vanessa's face. "Since you have time to accuse people, you must be very free." He turned slightly to Layla. "Protect your belongings," he said, voice firm. "Don't let foolish people touch what belongs to you." Then he faced Vanessa again. "If you ever put your hands on her again," he said quietly, "you will learn what consequences look like." Vanessa's lips parted, but no words came out. Damien didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Layla collected the watch from Vanessa's stiff fingers and stepped back, her chest tight. As she left his office, her mind spun with one question. Why does he keep protecting me? By afternoon, Layla was tired of being noticed. She walked to Damien's office door and spoke carefully. "Sir, I'll eat in the cafeteria from now on." Damien's eyes lifted. "Why?" "To avoid trouble," she said. Damien stood up slowly. Layla thought he would dismiss her. Instead, he said, "Come." Layla blinked. "Sir, come." He repeated, "Already walking." Layla followed, confused, as Damien headed straight toward the cafeteria like a storm that had finally chosen a direction. The moment he entered, workers stiffened. Supervisors rushed out with forced smiles. "Good afternoon, sir." Damien didn't greet anyone. He scanned the food, the trays, the labels, the smiling faces that looked too rehearsed. "Show me your food safety reports," he said. The cafeteria admin supervisor, a middle-aged man with sweat shining on his forehead, quickly nodded. "Sir, everything is in order. We follow all standards." Damien's eyes were cold. Then explain why the food smells like yesterday. The man laughed nervously. Sir, it's fresh. Damien lifted a lid from one pot, stared inside, and his face hardened further. He called for records. He called for receipts. He called for inspection logs. Within minutes, it became obvious they were lying. Fake compliance, corruption, poor nutrition, cheap ingredients billed as expensive ones. Safety checks were done on paper only. Layla stood behind him watching the CEO. She thought she understood. This was not just anger. This was disgust. Damien turned to the admin supervisor. Starting tomorrow, he said, you don't need to come to work. The man's face fell. Sir, please. Damien cut him off. You're fired. The man dropped to his knees. Sir, I beg you, I need this job. Damien didn't flinch. Then you should have done it properly. And just like that, it was over. When Damien walked out, the cafeteria became silent behind him, like even the walls were afraid to talk. By the time Layla returned to her desk, gossip had already exploded. Did you hear? The CEO fired the cafeteria supervisor. When has he ever cared about food? Why now? People did not say her name out loud, but she felt it anyway. Later, a woman appeared quietly beside Layla's desk. She was older, with calm eyes and a firm mouth. She carried a lunch bag as if it contained instructions, not food. Madame, the woman said softly. I'm Auntie Clara. Layla looked up. Good afternoon. Auntie Clara placed the lunch bag on the table. Young master said I should bring you food. Layla's throat tightened. I didn't ask him. Auntie Clara leaned in slightly, her voice low. This office is not safe for soft people. Layla stared at her. Auntie Clara continued. If you keep letting people step on you, they will keep stepping. Today is a warning. Tomorrow might be worse. Layla swallowed. Auntie Clara tapped the table gently. You are carrying a child. Don't let your mouth be too quiet. Don't let your eyes always be on the floor. Then she straightened. Eat and stand well. She left as quietly as she came. Layla sat there for a long time, staring at the lunch bag like it carried more than food. Vanessa did not rest. She came again, leaning on Layla's desk with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. So, Vanessa murmured, you're enjoying your new protection. Layla didn't answer. Vanessa's voice sharpened. You think you're special now? You think you've won? Layla lifted her eyes slowly, and for the first time, she did not shrink. I don't think anything, Layla said quietly. But I know one thing. Vanessa tilted her head. What? Layla's voice stayed calm. You are too old to be acting like a bully. The silence around them changed. Vanessa's smile twitched. Layla didn't wait for her reply. She turned back to her screen, hands steady as she had finally decided she would not be food for anyone again. That evening, Jasper Callahan caught up to her near the corridor. He looked handsome in a clean, polished way, smiling too easily, too confidently, as he had never been poor a day in his life. Layla, he said softly, how long will you keep avoiding me? Layla's chest tightened. Jasper, please. Why won't you accept me? He asked, stepping closer. I'm not like these people. Layla's throat burned. I don't see you that way. Jasper's smile stayed, but his eyes shifted. Then I'll make you see me. Layla blinked. What do you mean? Jasper leaned in, voice low and excited. On your birthday, I'm going to propose publicly. You won't forget it. Layla's heart dropped. She forced a small, strained smile. Please don't. Jasper chuckled. You'll thank me later. As he walked away, Layla stood still, her hands cold. She told herself quietly, "I have to stop this. I can't keep collecting problems like debts." Another problem returned, Bianca Lang. The moment Bianca walked in, people straightened. The air changed. Even Vanessa became careful. Bianca was the kind of woman who moved like she owned the ground. Beautiful, powerful, dressed like the office was her personal event. She stopped at Layla's desk and smiled. But the smile was not kind. It was a message. "At your age," Bianca said smoothly, "it's normal to have fantasies." Layla looked up slowly. Bianca continued, voice sweet. "Just don't mistake fantasies for reality and ruin your future." Layla's lips pressed together. She didn't reply. Bianca walked away like she had done Layla a favor. And Layla knew it clearly. Bianca was not warning her. Bianca was claiming Damien. Later that day, Bianca entered Damien's office. Layla saw it too late. Someone had told Layla to drop off a file, and she had stepped in, only to see Bianca already inside, sitting like she belonged there. Bianca's eyes flicked to Layla. Sharp, suspicious. Layla's heart jumped. Damien's voice was low. "Go." Layla didn't know who he was talking to at first. Then, Damien's eyes moved slightly toward the desk. Layla understood. Her stomach clenched, but she moved quickly, quietly, and slipped under the desk. Her heart pounded like it wanted to expose her. Bianca's voice floated above. "Damien, why are you acting strange lately?" Damien's tone was cold. "Say what you came to say." Bianca leaned forward. "Are you hiding someone from me?" Damien laughed once. "Do I need to?" Bianca paused. Then her eyes narrowed. What was that sound? Layla held her breath. Bianca's heels moved slightly, as if she wanted to stand and look. Damien's voice dropped like a slap. "Enough." Bianca stiffened. Damien continued. "From today, without my permission, you are not allowed to enter this office." Bianca's voice rose, offended. "Damien, get out," Damien said. There was a silence, thick with ego and insult. Then Bianca stood abruptly. "Fine, I'll leave." The door opened, closed. For 3 seconds, Layla remained frozen under the desk. Then Damien said, "Calm. Come out." Layla slowly crawled out, her face burning with embarrassment. Damien looked at her. "Next time, don't freeze," he said. "Think faster." Layla swallowed. "Thank you." Damien didn't respond to the gratitude. He just turned back to his laptop like nothing had happened. But Layla could feel it again. He had protected her. Later, Vanessa tried another method. She dumped a pile of documents on Layla's desk. "Sort these. Deliver them now." Layla stared. "That's not my job." Vanessa smiled sharply. "You forget yourself. I'm the CEO's assistant. When I speak, you move." Layla's hands tightened. "I only take instructions from my supervisor." Vanessa's eyes flashed. "Don't be foolish. In this office, you need to know who can break you." Layla stood slowly. "Try it." Vanessa's smile dropped. "You think you're brave because the CEO is looking at you? You're still nothing." Before Layla could reply, Damien's voice cut through the corridor. "Vanessa." Everyone froze. Damien walked over calm and dangerous. He looked at Vanessa like she was dirt he was tired of stepping on. "Control your people," he said, his eyes shifting briefly toward Bianca's section, like the warning was not only for Vanessa. Then he looked at Vanessa directly. "If I find your people bullying my people again, She leaves. Vanessa's mouth opened. No sound came. Damien turned to Layla. "You represent my face," he said quietly. "If you're bullied, fight back." Layla nodded, her throat tight. Vanessa stood there shaking with restrained anger, and Layla understood something clearly. This office was turning into a battlefield, and she was standing in the middle of it. After work hours, Vanessa approached Layla again, her voice suddenly sweet. "Your old files," Vanessa said, "are in the cold lab. Go and get them now." Layla hesitated. "Now? It's late. It's urgent," Vanessa replied smoothly. "If the CEO is delayed because of you, you'll bear the consequences." Layla's stomach tightened. She didn't want trouble, so she went. The cold lab was quiet, the corridor empty. Layla stepped inside and shivered immediately. The air was sharp, heavy, unfriendly. She moved quickly, searching for the files. Then she heard it, a soft click. The door. Layla spun and ran to it, pulling the handle. Locked. Her breath caught. "Hello?" she called, banging the door. "Is anyone there?" Silence. Then the cold started biting harder. Layla's teeth began to chatter. She banged again. "Please open the door." Somewhere outside, she heard voices. Security guards. "I heard something," one said lazily. "Please leave it," another replied. "Who will enter that lab at this time? Let's go." Layla screamed again, panic rising. "Help me, please!" The voices moved away, and Layla's heart began to sink. The cold crawled into her bones. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold her phone. She called. No network. She called again. Nothing. Her body started losing strength slowly, like the cold was drinking from her. Tears fell without permission. "Am I going to die here?" She held her belly with trembling hands. "Please," she whispered, voice breaking. "Not my baby. Please." At home, Grandma Eleanor paced. "She hasn't returned," Grandma said, looking at the staff as if they had sinned. "And she is not answering her phone." Auntie Clara looked worried. "We've tried, Ma." Grandma turned sharply to Damien. "Damien, a young pregnant woman outside at night is not safe." Damien's face changed. He grabbed his keys and stood immediately. Where was she last seen? No one answered fast enough. Damien's voice sharpened. "Now," they told him, and Damien moved. Back at the office, Damien stormed in like something had snapped. The security guard stood up quickly, startled. "Has anyone been to the cold lab?" Damien demanded. "Sir," one guard stammered, "the lab is too cold. Nobody goes there." Damien's eyes narrowed. "Open it." "Sir, we don't have the key." Damien stepped closer. "I won't say it twice." They searched, panicked. Finally, someone produced a spare key. The door swung open, and Damien froze. Layla was on the floor, curled up, shaking, her lips pale, her eyes half closed. "Layla!" Damien shouted. He rushed to her, lifted her gently, his hands suddenly careful in a way they had never been before. "Layla, open your eyes," he said, voice tight. "Don't sleep. Don't you dare sleep." Layla's lashes fluttered. She whispered something weak, his name maybe, or just a sound of pain. Damien held her closer. "I'm here," he said. "You're not dying here." Damien stayed, not because Grandma forced him, not because the contract said so. He stayed because his eyes refused to leave Layla's face. "Doctor." Nathan came furious and checked her condition quickly. "The baby is fine," he said, but his voice was sharp. "She needs rest. And this place, this company, your safety system is nonsense." Then he faced Layla directly. If you don't speak, people will keep treating you like you don't matter. Think about quitting. Think deeply. Layla's voice was weak, but she spoke. Vanessa. She sent me. Damien's jaw tightened. The next day, Damien summoned Vanessa and Bianca. He did not shout. He didn't need to. He proposed checking surveillance footage. They checked. They found movement, faces, timing. Then they found the lab key dumped in the trash like guilt. Then the fingerprint report came back. It pointed straight to Vanessa. Vanessa tried to talk. Bianca tried to step in. Bianca said, "Maybe we should let it go. It's a misunderstanding." Damien looked at her slowly. "So, you want to cover for her?" Bianca's face stiffened. Damien said, "Fine. Choose." Bianca blinked. "Choose what?" Damien's voice stayed calm. "Either you stay or she stays. Only one." Bianca's lips trembled, but her pride helped her speak. "Damien, don't do this." Damien didn't blink. Bianca's eyes shifted to Vanessa, and in that moment, Layla saw it clearly. Bianca would sacrifice anyone to keep her own seat. Bianca lifted her chin. Then Vanessa should go. Vanessa's face twisted. "Auntie Bianca." Damien raised a hand. "Enough." He stood and looked at them both. "I gave you a chance to show character," he said. "You failed." He pointed slightly. "Both of you get out." Bianca stiffened. "Damien!" Damien's voice dropped. "You thought I would save you because you feel entitled to me. You were wrong." Security stepped forward. Vanessa started crying. Bianca started threatening, but Damien didn't move. They dragged Vanessa out. They dragged Bianca out too. And the whole office watched like people watching power fall from a balcony. Later at home, Damien sat across from Layla. She looked smaller in his space, wrapped in a blanket, eyes tired, voice quiet. He stared at her for a long time, then said softly, "So, how will you thank me?" Layla blinked, shy and confused. "Sir, thank you is enough." Damien leaned back slightly. "Is it?" Layla looked away, her cheeks warming. Damien watched her like he was noticing her properly for the first time. Her face, her mouth, the way she tried to hide herself when she felt seen. He spoke again, quieter. "You're always trying to disappear." Layla swallowed. "Because disappearing keeps me safe." Damien's eyes held hers. "Not in my space." Layla didn't know what to say to that. She only knew one thing. Their closeness was no longer a secret. Not at home, not at work. People had seen the car, the watch, the protection, the fall of Vanessa and Bianca. And now everyone would watch Layla harder, because once a powerful man looks in your direction, people don't just hate you. They start planning what to do to you. And Layla could feel it in her bones. The office tension was no longer rising. It had already arrived. Layla thought the office would calm down after Vanessa and Bianca were removed. But peace does not come quickly to places where people have already tasted gossip. So when she returned, quiet, neat, hair pulled back, face still a little pale, she kept her eyes down and her steps careful. She told herself she would do her work and go home. Nothing more. She almost succeeded until she turned a corner and met Damien Cross and Dr. Nathan Hale standing together. Dr. Nathan was in a crisp shirt, hospital ID still hanging from his neck, like he had come straight from a ward. Damien stood beside him with that same hard face he always wore in public, like emotions were a luxury he refused to buy. Layla's stomach tightened. "Doctor." Nathan's eyes found her first. He didn't smile. "Layla," he said calmly, "you missed your appointment." Her heart dropped. The abortion. For a second, her mouth opened, and no sound came out. Her mind ran quickly, searching for the safest lie. Then, she forced the words out. "I got married." Dr. Nathan blinked once like he was checking whether he heard her correctly. Damien's face did not change, but something inside his eyes shifted sharp and fast, like a door slamming. Dr. Nathan looked from Layla to Damien, then back to Layla. "And you're telling me this now?" he asked. Layla nodded quickly. It happened suddenly. Dr. Nathan's gaze fell to her belly for a brief second, then rose again. "And the pills?" he asked quietly. "The ones you thought were contraceptives." Layla's throat went dry. Dr. Nathan continued, careful but firm. "I told you those were vitamins. If you miss the appointment, then the next thing is checkups to be safe." Layla nodded again, too quickly, too nervous. Beside her, Damien's hand tightened slightly at his side. He didn't speak, but his mind was moving. Layla could feel it. And for the first time since the towel encounter, Damien looked unsettled, not angry, not arrogant, just shaken in a way he was trying to hide. Because the truth was now standing in front of him, with two legs. If those pills were really vitamins, then this pregnancy was not an accident from some other man. It was likely his. And the more time Damien had spent watching Layla, her fear, her pride, her quiet refusal to beg, he was starting to understand something that disturbed him. Layla was not the kind of woman he had judged her to be. Before Layla could even ask for permission, Damien spoke cold and final. "We're going to the hospital." Layla's eyes widened. "Sir, I've already taken leave for you," he added, like he was talking about a file. Layla froze. "You took leave for me." Damien's eyes narrowed slightly. "Do you want to argue here?" People were already looking. Layla swallowed. "No." "Good," he said and turned. Layla followed him, trying to keep up. Inside her chest was tight with confusion. Why is he doing this? Is it because of Grandma? Or because he is scared? Or something else she wasn't ready to name? At the hospital, they registered. Damien stood too close, like he didn't trust her not to disappear. Layla kept shifting uncomfortable, trying to create space without making it obvious. When they finally sat, the nurse asked for the husband's contact. Layla hesitated. Damien watched her. The nurse frowned slightly. "Madam, your husband's number." Layla's fingers tightened around her bag. She looked at Damien, and then looked away again. The nurse's eyes moved between them slowly. "Are you really husband and wife?" she asked, not even trying to hide the suspicion. "You don't even have his WhatsApp?" Layla felt her face heat up. Damien's expression hardened instantly. "What kind of question is that?" he asked, offended. The nurse shrugged like she had seen too many fake relationships to be impressed. "Madam is pregnant. You people are acting like strangers." Damien turned to Layla, his voice low. "In your eyes," he said. "I don't even matter." Layla blinked, startled. "That's not what?" "Then prove it," he said, still low, still intense. Layla swallowed and pulled out her phone with shaking fingers. Damien watched her type his number, then add him. She hit save. Damien's eyes stayed on her face for a second longer than necessary. Only then did he look away like he was satisfied, yet still angry that he had needed to ask. The scan did not take long. The doctor stared at the screen, adjusted something, then stared again. Layla's heart began to race. Damien stood beside the bed, hands in his pockets, face calm, but eyes too focused. Then the doctor smiled. "Congratulations," she said. "You're carrying twins." Layla went still. "Twins," she whispered. "Yes," the doctor replied warmly. "2 babies." Layla's eyes filled suddenly. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It felt like her life was refusing to stay simple. Damien didn't speak, but his jaw tightened. His eyes stayed on the screen like he was trying to count the future. 2 babies, not 1. 2. And in his chest, fear mixed with something he had not allowed himself to feel in a long time. Responsibility that wasn't forced. Responsibility that felt personal. They returned to the office later. Damien walked her in like he didn't care who watched. When he entered a meeting room, people stood. He normally wouldn't even notice anyone's discomfort. But this time he looked at Layla and said in front of everyone, "Sit here." Layla blinked. "Sir, sit," he repeated. Then he glanced at the room. Meeting suspended. 10-minute break. The room went silent. People exchanged looks because this was not Damien Cross, not the cold CEO they feared. This was a man pausing business because a woman needed to breathe. Layla sat slowly, heart pounding, feeling every eye on her. And Damien remained standing beside her chair, like a guard who did not trust the world. That evening, the mansion felt different, not tense, busy, whispering. Auntie Clara moved around with quiet urgency. Grandma Eleanor looked too excited for someone who coughed blood not long ago. Layla entered the sitting room and froze. A cake sat on the table. Gift bags were arranged like a small market of luxury. Then Grandma Eleanor clapped her hands. "Happy birthday, my daughter-in-law." Auntie Clara and 2 staff members started singing. Layla stood there stunned. She had forgotten her birthday. Or maybe she had simply stopped expecting it to matter after her mother died. But as they sang, something broke softly inside her. For the first time since she lost her mother, the only family she had ever truly had, Layla felt remembered. She smiled, not the small, polite smile she gave strangers, a real one, and Grandma Eleanor noticed immediately. "Look at her," Grandma said proudly. "This is how a woman should smile." Layla blinked back tears quickly so nobody would see. Damien watched her quietly from the side. He didn't laugh. He didn't clap. But his eyes stayed on her smile, like he wanted to memorize it. After the cake, Damien handed her a box. Layla opened it and froze again. It was a dress. Beautiful, but it was also bold, more revealing than anything she had ever worn in her life. Layla looked up slowly. "Sir," Damien's voice was low, "wear it for me tonight." Layla's breath caught. She wasn't sure if it was a joke or a command or a sign that his control was turning into something else entirely. Her cheeks warmed. I don't think I can." Damien's eyes narrowed slightly, not angry, but possessive in a way that confused her. "We'll discuss it," he said, like he was trying to sound calm, while something inside him was growing teeth. Layla looked away, heart beating too fast. Later, when the house finally quieted, Dr. Nathan came again. He didn't look like a man coming to greet a family. He looked like a man carrying heavy news. He walked into Damien's space without fear, because he clearly had permission. "I found something," Dr. Nathan said. Damien's eyes sharpened. "What?" Dr. Nathan pulled out an old, worn diary. Its pages aged, its cover cracked like history. "It belonged to someone close to your grandfather," he said. There are clues inside about a long-lost sister. Layla's heart skipped. A sister. She held her breath as Dr. Nathan spoke, and as she listened, her eyes kept drifting to Dr. Nathan's face, his brows, his eyes, the shape of his cheekbones. Something about him pulled at an old memory in her, an image of a man from a faded photograph her mother used to hide away. Layla's head started spinning. Why does he look familiar? And the name too, Ashford. It rang in her mind like a bell she had heard as a child but never understood. Dr. Nathan and Damien spoke like men who had been searching for years, like this was not just gossip. This was a wound. Damien nodded once. I'll investigate quietly. Dr. Nathan exhaled. Good. Because I've been looking for my sister for a long time. Layla stood there silent, but her mind was now on fire. A sister, a missing child, a diary, and Dr. Nathan's face that looks like a past I don't fully remember. A few days later, Damien took Layla out, not to the cafeteria, not to some small, quiet place, a real store, a place where everything had a price tag that could pay rent for a year. Layla stood beside him uncomfortable. Sir, I don't need this, she said. Damien glanced at her. Pick. Layla looked at the jewelry, overwhelmed. I don't like any of them. Damien's mouth twitched. Then, without blinking, he said to the attendant, Wrap everything. Layla's eyes widened. Everything. Damien nodded calm. Everything. Layla stared at him like he had lost his mind. When they stepped out, a flower seller approached. Buy flowers for your girlfriend, sir. Layla tried to speak, tried to correct the woman. Damien beat her to it. She's my wife. The words landed heavy. Public. Clear. Layla's chest tightened. Damien handed her the flowers, then leaned closer slightly. You said you didn't like them, he murmured. Layla whispered back, half embarrassed, half annoyed. You're doing too much. Damien's eyes flicked to her face. Better too much than too little, he replied. Then his voice lowered, teasing. But jealous. Or do you want someone else to start buying for you? Layla scoffed softly. Who? Damien's gaze sharpened. Don't pretend you don't know. Layla's heart skipped. Jasper. The office. The attention. All of it. And then, without warning, Layla's world tilted. Her knees weakened. Her vision blurred. She heard her name faintly like it came from far away. Then darkness. Call someone. Damien's voice snapped, sharper than anyone had ever heard it in public. He caught her before she fell fully, pulling her against him like he was holding something breakable. It's my fault, he muttered, panic rising. I shouldn't have stopped. His hands shook slightly as he held her. By the time they got to the hospital, Layla was awake but weak. The doctor checked her quickly. She's okay, the doctor said. Stress and exhaustion. She needs rest. Damien didn't breathe properly until he heard that. Layla stared at him from the bed, watching his face. The fear in his eyes was real. Not acting, not for Grandma, real. And something inside Layla softened painfully. In her heart, she whispered, When I'm strong enough, I'll tell him the truth about the babies. Damien didn't sleep. He sat in a private space with Dr. Nathan. I want it done fast, Damien said quietly. Dr. Nathan raised a brow. A DNA test? Yes. Dr. Nathan studied him for a moment, then sighed. You're really doing this? Damien's voice was tight. I need to know. Dr. Nathan leaned back slightly, then teased him with a tired smile. Which fearless woman is trying to trap you, Damien Cross? Damien's eyes flashed. "Don't start." Dr. Nathan lifted both hands. "Okay, I'll expedite it." The report arrived sooner than Layla would ever know. Damien opened it alone. His eyes moved once, twice. Then his fingers tightened around the paper until it crumpled slightly. Because the results were clear. The twins were his. Not likely. Not maybe. His. And in that moment, something inside Damien snapped. Not with anger at Layla, but with anger at himself, at how he had judged her, at how he had treated her like she was cheap, at how she had carried his children in silence while planning to disappear. He found her later sitting quietly, hands resting lightly on her belly. He didn't greet her. He didn't pretend. He went straight to the truth. "The children are mine," he said. Layla's breath caught. Her eyes lifted slowly to his face. Damien's voice dropped raw. "Why didn't you tell me?" Layla swallowed hard. "Because you already decided who I was." Damien flinched slightly. Layla continued, voice shaking, but honest. "You told me it was a contract. You told me I would leave after 2 years. I plan to go with my babies and not disturb your life." Damien stepped closer. "Who allowed you?" Layla blinked. "Sir." "No." He cut in, his eyes burning. "Layla, listen to me." His voice softened suddenly like it cost him something. "I misjudged you," he said. "I thought you were like other women who come near me with plans." Layla's throat tightened. Damien exhaled slowly. "But you're not," he said. And somewhere along the line, I started seeing it. He glanced at her belly, then back at her face. "I have feelings for them," he admitted quietly, and his voice stalled like the next part scared him. "And I have feelings for you too, Layla's eyes filled. Damien's jaw tightened, refusing to let emotion make him weak. "I'm taking responsibility," he said firmly. "Not because of Grandma, not because of the cross name, because they're my children, and you're my wife." Layla's lips trembled, and for the first time, the contract marriage began to crack, because what Damien was offering now was no longer paper. It was possession mixed with fear, love trying to learn how to speak, and Layla, still scared, still healing, could only sit there and wonder if he knows the truth now. What will he do with it? She hardly slept that night. Even after Damien told her the twins were his, even after he said he had feelings for her heart still kept beating like it was waiting for the next shock. And the next morning, shock came. Wearing a nice shirt and office perfume, it was the department dinner. Layla tried to say she was tired. Damien didn't allow it. "You're coming," he said simply, like it was not up for discussion. So she went, not because she wanted attention, but because somewhere deep inside, she wanted to believe she did not have to hide anymore. The dinner was lively, too lively. People ate, laughed, tried to pretend they weren't still watching the CEO and his mysterious wife like it was a movie. Then someone suggested a game, truth or dare. Layla's stomach tightened immediately. She didn't like games. Games always turned into humiliation when people were jealous. But the circle was already formed. The rules were already shouted. The bottle was already spinning. It landed on Layla. Someone grinned like they had been waiting. "I dare you," the girl said loudly. "Kiss the person to your left." The room erupted. "Kiss, kiss, kiss." Layla froze. To her left was Damien. Her cheeks heated up. Her fingers tightened around her cup. She stood up slowly, forcing her voice to stay calm. "I won't do it," she said. "I'll drink." The crowd booed. Layla lifted the drink. Before it reached her lips, Damien's hand entered the space and took that cup from her like it belonged to him. He didn't even look at anyone. He drank it. One, then another, then a third. Silence spread slowly like smoke. Layla stared at him. Damien set the cup down and glanced at the room. "She won't drink," he said coldly. "Not in my presence." Nobody laughed again. Nobody shouted again. And in that moment, Layla understood something. Damien was not protecting her quietly anymore. He was doing it publicly, like a man who was tired of hiding. Layla's chest felt tight. She needed air. She stepped outside the hall, breathing like she had been running. A few seconds later, she heard footsteps behind her. Damien. He came close. Not too close, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. "You left," he said. "I needed air," Layla replied, still facing the night. Damien's voice dropped. "You refuse a kiss, but you want to run away." Layla turned nervous. "It's not like that." Damien stepped closer, the teasing in his eyes turning serious. "Layla," he said, "this secret marriage, it's pointless now." Layla's heart skipped. "Damien, people will talk. I might lose my job." He stared at her like she didn't understand who he was. "I'm the boss," he said. "Nobody can touch you." Layla's throat tightened. But he cut in. Then he leaned in like he wanted to kiss her right there in the open. Layla's breath stopped. His lips hovered close, almost touching. Almost. Then he pulled back slightly, eyes locked on hers, voice low. "Go back inside," he said. "Let them talk." Layla swallowed and nodded. That night, as people were still eating dessert and gossiping under their breath, phones started vibrating. One by one, heads bent down to screens. Then someone gasped. "Ah, see this?" Another voice shouted from across the table. "Boss Cross posted." People rushed to check, and the dining hall exploded. "The cold CEO is in love." Jesus, he posted his wife. "So that's Mrs. Cross." Layla stood still, confused, then slowly checked her own phone. It was there. Damien had announced it clearly. Layla was Mrs. Cross. No hiding, no secret, no contract talk. Just a public claim. Layla's stomach flipped. She looked up and found Damien's eyes across the room. He didn't smile, but his stare said everything. "I've chosen you. Let them choke on it." That was when Jasper appeared. He walked into the hall like a man about to perform. In his hands were sunflowers, bright and loud. People murmured. Some even smiled, because they thought this would be sweet. Jasper went down on one knee. "Layla," he said, voice shaking but dramatic. "I've loved you for so long. Will you marry me?" The hall went silent. Layla's whole body went cold. She wanted the ground to open and swallow her. She stepped back, shaking her head. "Jasper, no," she said softly. "I only see you as a friend, and I'm married." Jasper's face changed immediately. Not heartbreak, not acceptance, possessiveness. He stood up quickly, eyes wild. "You're lying," he snapped. "You're mine. You just want to shame me." Layla's hands trembled. "Please don't do this." And then Damien's voice cut through the hall like a knife. "Enough." He walked forward slowly, calm, dangerous. He stood beside Layla and looked at everyone. Then he looked at Jasper. "This woman is my wife," Damien said. Jasper laughed bitterly. "Your wife since when?" Damien didn't blink. "She is also carrying my children." Layla flinched at the word children because it was still new to say it out loud like that. The hall erupted again. Some people gasped. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered prayers like they were in church. Jasper's face twisted. He moved like he wanted to grab Layla. Damien didn't raise his voice. "Security," he said. 2 guards stepped forward immediately. Jasper struggled, shouting insults, begging, even crying in anger. "Let me go, Layla. Tell him." Layla's eyes were wet, but she didn't move, and Damien didn't allow it to drag. "Take him out," he said. Jasper was removed. Layla stood there shaking. Damien turned to her, his voice softer now. "Come," he said. He escorted her out, hands careful at her back. Outside, in the quiet of the parking lot, the noise behind them felt far away. Layla looked up at him, eyes glossy. "You didn't have to do all that," she whispered. Damien's gaze dropped to her lips. "I did," he replied. He leaned in again. This time, his lips brushed close, almost a kiss. Layla's breath caught. Then, headlights flashed nearby, and Damien paused, jaw tight. He pulled back slowly like he was holding himself. "Let's go home," he said, and the way he said it sounded like a promise. Trouble arrived, wearing wealth. The living room was calm until the gate opened and a convoy drove in like they owned the street. A woman stepped out, elegant, expensive, sharp. She entered like a storm. "I am Mrs. Ashford," she announced. Layla's heart jumped at the surname. Mrs. Ashford's eyes swept the room and landed on Damien. "You were engaged to marry my daughter," she said, voice hard. "Cecilia long ago." Grandma Eleanor's smile disappeared. "What engagement?" Damien asked cold. Mrs. Ashford slapped a file on the table. "Don't insult me." The promise was made. Now Cecilia is back. Fulfill it. Grandma Eleanor tried to calm her. "Auntie, please. We can compensate." Mrs. Ashford cut her off. "We don't want money. We want the promise." Damien stepped forward. "I will not marry anyone else," he said. "My wife is here." Mrs. Ashford finally noticed Layla properly. Her eyes narrowed, then widened slightly. For a second, something flickered across her face. Confusion, recognition, fear. Then she composed herself. "My daughter is coming in," she said. "You will see her." And that was when the fake Cecilia walked in. Beautiful, sweet smile, soft voice. She moved straight to Layla like she wanted peace. "Hello, sister," she said gently. "I don't want trouble. I just want to be friends." Layla nodded slowly, uneasy. Damien's shoulders were stiff. Too stiff. The fake Cecilia reached for a glass and began to pour water for Layla. Damien reacted fast. Too fast. "Stop!" he snapped. Everyone froze. Layla blinked. Damien. The fake Cecilia looked innocent. "I'm just giving her water." Damien's eyes were sharp. "Leave it." The tension was heavy. Then the glass tilted. Hot water spilled, scalding Layla's wrist. Layla cried out softly and jerked back. Damien grabbed her immediately, voice rising. "Why didn't you dodge?" Layla stared at him, shocked. I didn't know it was hot. As he held her wrist, his eyes caught something. A mark, a red heart-shaped birthmark. Damien froze. His voice dropped to a whisper. "No!" Grandma Eleanor leaned forward, squinting. Mrs. Ashford stepped closer slowly, eyes trembling. Damien stared at Layla's wrist like he was seeing a ghost. "I remember this," he said quietly. "Cecilia had this birthmark as a child. the girl beside Mrs. Ashford panicked slightly, then smiled too quickly. "I removed mine," she said at a beauty salon. "It was ugly." Damien's eyes hardened. Grandma Eleanor frowned. But Cecilia used to say Damien liked the birthmark. Mrs. Ashford's face tightened. She did. She loved mangoes, too. Grandma Eleanor shook her head sharply. "No. Cecilia was allergic to mangoes, Mrs." Ashford snapped her fingers. "Bring mango!" Someone brought sliced mango quickly like they came prepared. Mrs. Ashford held a piece toward the sweet Cecilia. "Eat," she said. The girl hesitated. Then she forced a bite, smiling nervously. Nothing happened. Grandma Eleanor turned slowly to Layla. "Layla?" Grandma said softly. "Try." Layla's eyes widened. "Me?" Damien's gaze locked on hers. "Please." Layla took a tiny bite. Within seconds, her throat scratched. Her eyes watered. She coughed, struggling. I can't," she gasped. Damien's face went pale. Mrs. Ashford stumbled backward like someone slapped her. "No," she whispered. Grandma Eleanor's voice shook. That's Cecilia's allergy." Mrs. Ashford stared at Layla like she was seeing the child she lost. Then her voice broke. "My daughter." The fake Cecilia stepped back, eyes darting. Damien's voice turned cold again. "Enough," he said. "We'll do DNA today." Dr. Nathan was cold. He arrived calm, but his eyes widened when he saw Mrs. Ashford. "Ma," he said quietly, like he was talking to someone he knew. Mrs. Ashford's eyes flicked to him. "Nathan," she whispered. "Do it." The test was done fast. The wait felt like hours. Layla sat quietly, head spinning. Damien stood beside her like a wall. Grandma Eleanor kept praying under her breath. Mrs. Ashford looked like a woman holding her breath after drowning for years. Then the result came. Dr. Nathan looked up, voice steady but emotional. "Layla is Cecilia Ashford," he said. Silence. Then Mrs. Ashford made a sound, half sob, half gasp, and collapsed into a chair. "My Cecilia," she cried. "My child." Layla stared blankly. Her mind could not carry it at once. A missing child, a birthmark, a mango allergy. Ashford and Dr. Nathan's face. Nathan stepped closer, eyes glossy. "My sister," he whispered. Layla's lips trembled. Before anyone could move, the fake Cecilia screamed. "No, it's a lie." She lunged toward Layla. A man stepped in quickly. "Daniel," Damien's head security. He grabbed the imposter and held her back. She fought like a mad person. "If I can't have it, she won't live," she screamed. Daniel tightened his grip. "Madam, calm down," he said firmly, then signaled the other guards. "She's going to the police." The fake Cecilia was dragged away, screaming curses. Mrs. Ashford walked toward Layla, slowly trembling. When she reached her, her pride vanished completely. She held Layla's hands and cried. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Her voice shook as she explained. There had been an accident when Layla was little. Confusion. A tragedy. A child lost in the chaos. Mrs. Ashford left Nigeria for years, angry at the world, angry at herself, unable to forgive the past. Then someone claimed they found Cecilia. They were tricked. "I've been carrying pain," she cried. "I didn't know you were here all this time." Layla's eyes filled. She didn't pull away, but she didn't rush into her arms either. "My mother told me she gave me the Ashford name because of the embroidery on the handkerchief she had found me with. I didn't know what it meant then, But I need time, she whispered. Mrs. Ashford nodded quickly. Yes, take time. I will wait. Even if it takes years, I will wait. That night, Damien held Layla gently in their room. Layla leaned into him like she was tired of holding herself together. It feels like destiny, she whispered. Everything. It's too much. Damien gave a small smile. Destiny is stressing me, he said, then glanced at her belly. And these two, they are already competing with me for your attention. Layla laughed through tears. Jealous man, she whispered. Damien's face softened. My wife, he murmured, like he was tasting the words. Grandma Eleanor, however, did not find it funny. The next morning, she announced it like a royal decree. From today, you are not going to work again, Grandma said. Layla blinked. Grandma, no argument, Grandma snapped. You will stay home. Protect my twins. Damien tried to speak. Grandma turned sharply. If she sheds one tear because of you, Grandma said, eyes blazing, I will disown you. Damien sighed. Grandma, shut up, Grandma said. Pregnant women come first. Layla looked at Damien helplessly. Damien just shook his head slightly like, welcome to my life. Then Grandma added, serious now? And Damien, you must honor your mother's memory properly. Pay your respects. Do your duty. Damien nodded once. I remember, he said quietly. That evening, Damien did something Layla didn't expect. No contract talk, no forced arrangement. He prepared a proper proposal, not for the public, not for Grandma, for her. The house was decorated softly. Candles, flowers, calm music. Layla was not in the room when it began, because she had briefly gone out to handle something personal, pay respects quietly, the way her mother raised her to do. Her phone died while she was out. When she returned, Damien was waiting. His eyes were dark. You disappeared, he said. My phone died, Layla rushed. I didn't mean to. Damien stepped closer. You didn't answer my calls, he said. Layla's voice shook. I'm here now. Damien's jaw tightened. Jealousy and relief mixed. Layla suddenly blurted breathless. Let's get married properly. Damien paused. Then his eyes softened just slightly. You think I will forgive you that easily? He murmured. Layla swallowed. Damien. He leaned closer. Voice low and teasing. You'll pay for it tonight, he whispered. Layla's cheeks burned. Shameless man, she muttered. Damien's mouth curved. Romantic punishment. When Nathan heard, he complained loudly, like an older brother who didn't want to admit he was happy. So I just found my sister and you proposed the next day, he said, shaking his head. Damien, you have no shame. Damien looked calm. I have sense, he replied. I'm correcting my mistake. Nathan squinted. Just don't bully her. Damien snorted. Bully? He repeated. It's Layla that bullies me now. Layla covered her face, laughing softly, and in front of the people who truly mattered. Grandma Eleanor, Auntie Clara, Nathan, Daniel, Mrs. Ashford, and a few trusted family staff. Damien stood before Layla. No arrogance, no coldness, just truth. Layla Ashford, he said gently, you entered my life through a mistake. Layla's eyes filled, and yet, Damien continued, you have become my blessing. He took her hands. I don't want any contract marriage again, he said. I want a real one. Layla's voice shook. Damien. He looked at her belly, then back at her face. I'm choosing you, he said. Every day. Layla swallowed, then nodded slowly. Yes, she whispered. I'm here. Damien exhaled like he had been holding his breath for months. Then he smiled, small, real. Mrs. Cross, he said softly, please take care of me from now on. Layla laughed through tears. And you too, Mr. Cross, she whispered. Damien leaned in and kissed her gently at first, then deeper, like a man finally allowed to be happy. Grandma Eleanor clapped loudly. Good, she shouted. Now nobody should stress my granddaughter-in-law again. Everyone laughed. Layla pulled back, smiling, her forehead resting against Damien's. And in that moment, for the first time in a long time, she felt safe. Not because life had become perfect, but because she no longer had to face it alone.